Thank God for coffee. This last week has been a whirlwind, literally. Last Wednesday, we had a freak storm go through our part of Iowa. Normally, we are out of the threat for tornadoes by the end of September. It is now December, middle of December, and our normal temperatures are in the 30s in December. But last Wednesday, we had some southerly winds come up and raise our temperature to 65 degrees. And it collided with a colder air mass coming in from the west. And so the result was this. This storm produced 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds and 80-mile-per-hour gusts and spawned several tornadoes. I think there was 13 tornadoes in the state of Iowa. One of them was very close to us, probably 20-25 miles from us. So we were very, very lucky that the storm damage you saw just a bit ago was really all that we've got. But other areas around us weren't as lucky as we were. You can see here some of the storm damage. And this is actually the roof of a grain bin that was mangled and tossed into somebody's yard in the town. It even tipped over railroad cars. And so we feel very blessed that we don't have more damage than we do. Fortunately, our solar panels were not affected. Last summer, we worked with a really good company close to us called Trusted Energy. And we developed a plan to put up a solar array for our acreage. It covers our entire acreage, so any of our outbuildings that have electricity, our chicken coop, and anything that has electricity on our acreage is covered by our solar array. We're going to talk a little bit about what it was involved in the cost of our solar array and how it's performed over the last year. But first, here's a time lapse of our solar array build. Once the build was complete and all the electrical and everything was hooked up, in September of 2020, Dan actually flipped the switch and switched us from using electricity from the electric company to using electricity generated by our own solar array. So we're working toward retirement. We're trying to, we want to retire early, and so we want our bills to be as minimal as possible. And so the purpose of this was just to eliminate our electric bill. We are not off grid. We are still with the electric company because we needed to use the electric lines, the existing electric lines that were already coming to our home. And those are owned by the electric company. And so while we are eliminating our actual bill for the electric usage, we still have a monthly fee that they charge for maintenance, upkeep, etc., etc. So no matter what, we would still expect to pay $37.50 a month, but more on that later. For now, let's take a quick look at what our electric cost was prior to putting in our solar panels. You can see here that over to the right in the charges columns, the charges other is a rounded amount of our standard fee that I just talked about, which is rounded to $38 for these purposes. The column next to it is our actual energy charges, our actual charges for using their electricity. And you see at the bottom, for 1 year, it cost us $1,942. So about $2,000 for our yearly energy consumption prior to the solar panels. So what we would expect is that we would be paying $450 a year to our electric company for the maintenance fees, but that we would eliminate the $2,000 in electric cost. The actual cost of the solar panels to put them in was $23,650, and that's all inclusive. So anything that they had to do electrically or meter wise for the electric company, total installation, and the panels themselves, everything, that was the total cost. Now you see here that we could get some credits for this, and we did. There are federal tax credits right now for installing things like geothermal heat pumps, solar, wind power, that type of thing. And there was a state tax credit. Now in our state of Iowa, they had so many dollars a year that they would budget to go toward these tax credits for this energy. But once they hit that limit for the year, they put you on a wait list, and then you got tossed to the next year to see if you could get some of the money the next year. And then they had an end date for their program. Well, we got put on the wait list, and then the end date for the program came prior to us being called up for the credit. So we did not get the state tax credit, but we did get federal credits. So as you can see here, that actually brings down the final cost of our solar array to $13,181 because of those credits. These credits are still available until December 31st of 2023. Now, as I said, it's geothermal heat pumps, small wind turbines, solar energy systems, fuel cells, biomass fuel stoves, if you put in a wood-burning stove that meets their requirements. So if you're thinking about doing it, you might want to consider it so that you can get a hold of those tax credits. Now, the company that we worked with, Trusted Energy, gave us a projection of our total savings over a period of 30 years. And the middle number you see there, $123,280, would be our energy savings over a period of 30 years. And it does account for the price of the energy rising. So it adds a little percentage in every year on this chart. That's quite a bit of savings over the rest of our life. Here you see the same chart, but more towards the top, because I wanted to show you that you saw before our actual cost for our solar array will end up being about $13,181. And here you can see on year 6, our savings over 6 years will be $13,238. So at that point, the solar array would have paid for itself. And the rest after that is gravy. So how did our solar array actually perform over the last year? This is a chart of how much energy we produced versus how much we used and what the difference is. The orange line is the energy that we generated with our solar array. The green line is our energy consumption, and then the blue bars are the difference between the two, or our net. So you can see that during the months of November, December, January, and February, our solar panels do not produce enough to keep up with our consumption because the days are much shorter, and over the winter time, you're not going to be producing or generating as much power. But then you see in March through October that we generated more than what we used. So what do our bills look like? I've overlaid our actual bill dollar amounts on top of this graph. Now remember, we're expecting to pay around $38 a month just for the regular fee. So we would expect to pay $38 a month. You can see here that in November, December, and January, obviously we're paying because we're not generating as much. In February, we would also normally be paying, but in February, our electric company is a co-op, and we usually get some form of rebate in 2 months during the year. We get one rebate in February, and then we get another one in April. So that's why there's some kind of anomalies here on the dollar amounts on our bill. So what does that total out to? We would have expected to pay, remember, $450 for the year, but our actual cost, if you add up what we actually paid to the electric company, is $340. So we paid significantly less than even what we thought we were going to pay. Now, our electric company, and different electric companies do it differently, our electric company actually gives us some credit for the extra kilowatt hours that we produce with our solar array that we do not consume. Now, of course, they pay us at a fraction of what they would charge someone for a kilowatt hour, but it does give us a little bit extra credit. So that's why you see, this is especially apparent in July through October. You can see where we would have been paying 38, we're only paying 21, and then other months we're actually getting credits. Now, even if we took off the twice a year that we get an extra credit of some type from our electric company, which would be February and April, we would still be at or below this $450 mark. One thing I just want to mention is our cost could have been more if we decided to add a battery system to our solar array. A battery system would allow us to store extra energy in case of a power outage. But the cost of adding a battery system to our solar array would be somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000, kind of depending on what you get. And that's an extra cost we didn't want to incur right now, but that is something that we would consider in the future. So what do you think, honey? How do you think we performed there?
Well, that's a lot better than what we thought.
Mm-hmm. So would we do it again?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on adding a battery in the future?
I definitely think that, we want to do that in case something bad was to happen with infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. And with that, we hope you have a week filled with joy and with peace.
And we'll see you next time.